Floating silently in the vast emptiness of space, the collection vessel Morning Star drifted among countless pieces of debris. Earth had changed dramatically since the resource wars of the 2150s. The planet's once abundant materials had been depleted, leaving humanity struggling to maintain its technological civilization. Captain Han Du-won rubbed his tired eyes as he watched another piece of space junk float past the viewport. His weathered hands gripped the railing, knuckles white with tension. After 16 years of service, the Morning Star showed her age. Patches of rust dotted her hull, and her engines groaned with every maneuver. Steady as she goes, Du-won called out to his crew, "Let's bring in that large section ahead." Lieutenant Kim Jia sat at her station, her fingers dancing across the control panel as she guided the collection arms. She had served with Du-won for 5 years, and they had developed an efficient working relationship. The crew called them the recycling duo behind their backs, a nickname that amused them both. "Another day, another piece of junk," one of the crew members muttered. Du-won understood their frustration. Earth's Space Authority had assigned them to gather debris from humanity's early space exploration era. Most days, they collected nothing but twisted metal and broken solar panels. The pay was decent, but the work was monotonous. The collection arms extended smoothly, wrapping around a large chunk of what appeared to be an old satellite. Jaya's expertise showed in how delicately she manipulated the controls, treating each piece of debris with care despite its apparent worthlessness. "Beginning extraction sequence," Jaya announced, her voice calm and professional. The arms pulled the debris closer, and the ship's floodlights illuminated its surface. Something caught Jaya's eye on her scanner display. She adjusted the sensors, frowning at the unusual readings. "Captain, you might want to see this," she called out, double-checking the data. Du-won crossed the bridge in 4 long strides. "What have you found, Lieutenant?" "These energy signatures." Jaya pointed to the pulsing patterns on her screen. "They're unlike anything in our database. The material composition doesn't match any known Earth metals or alloys." Du-won leaned closer, his eyes widening as he studied the readings. "Magnify the image on the starboard section." The screen showed a close-up of what appeared to be a seamless panel embedded within the debris. Its surface had an iridescent quality that seemed to shift colors as they watched. "That's not one of ours," Du-won said quietly. "And it's definitely not Russian, Chinese, or European design either." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had never encountered definitive proof of alien technology before. There had been theories and speculation, but nothing concrete. "Sir," Jaya's voice trembled slightly with excitement, "should we inform Earth Command?" Du-won straightened up, his mind racing with possibilities. "Not yet. Let's get this aboard first. Run a full scan once it's in the holding bay. I want to be absolutely certain before we make any claims." The next few hours passed in tense anticipation as the crew carefully brought the debris aboard. Teams in protective suits examined every inch of the mysterious panel, taking readings and photographs. Word spread quickly through the ship. Crew members found excuses to pass by the holding bay, hoping to catch a glimpse of the potential alien artifact. Du-won allowed it. Their discovery had turned another routine collection run into something historic. When the preliminary analysis was complete, Jaya brought the results to Du-won's office. Her hands shook slightly as she placed the tablet on his desk. "The technology is at least 300 years ahead of our current capabilities," she reported. "The panel appears to be part of a propulsion system we can't even begin to understand." Du-won studied the data, his expression growing more serious with each page. "Send a priority message to Earth Command. Mark it urgent, and eyes only for Admiral Chen." Within days, the United Earth Space Authority created the Salvage Initiative, a new division dedicated to finding and recovering advanced technology hidden among the orbital debris. Du-won's discovery had opened up possibilities nobody had imagined. As he stood in his new office at Space Authority headquarters, looking out over the sprawling complex, Do-One thought about how a single piece of space junk had changed humanity's future. The Morning Star's final collection run had turned into the beginning of a new era. His appointment as director of the Salvage Initiative came with enormous responsibilities, but Do-One welcomed the challenge. Humanity had been given a chance to advance beyond its current limitations, and he intended to make the most of it. Ready to start changing the world? Jaya asked from the doorway. She had been appointed as his chief operations officer, ensuring their successful partnership would continue. Do-One smiled, turning away from the window. The world? Lieutenant, I think we're about to change the entire solar system. The soft hum of laboratory equipment filled the air as Chief Engineer Park Min-ho bent over his workbench, carefully examining another piece of recovered alien technology under bright lights. Dark circles under his eyes revealed the long hours he had spent studying these mysterious artifacts. Their storage room now held hundreds of pieces, each one different from the last. On the other side of the lab, Dr. Lee Eun-ji sat surrounded by holographic displays showing complex data patterns. Her quantum physics expertise had proven invaluable in understanding the basic principles behind the alien technology. She brushed a strand of hair from her face, squinting at a particularly interesting energy signature. Min-ho, take a look at this, she called out, enlarging one of the displays. The energy flow in the artifact you're examining matches the pattern we saw in the propulsion piece last week. Min-ho set down his tools and walked over, his tired expression giving way to curiosity. That's impossible. They're completely different systems from different sources. Exactly. Eun-ji highlighted several matching wave patterns, but look at the underlying quantum resonance. It's nearly identical. The two scientists spent the next several hours comparing data from other recovered artifacts. As they worked, an exciting pattern emerged. Despite coming from various alien civilizations, many of the technologies shared basic operating principles. It's like they all started from the same foundation, Min-ho said, spreading out his notes. But each species developed it in a different direction. Eun-ji nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. And here's the really interesting part. Our Earth technology might be simpler, but it's more adaptable. We could potentially use it to bridge these different systems together. They worked through the night, testing their theory. Using basic Earth computers and power systems, they managed to get two alien devices working together, something that should have been impossible given their different origins. The next morning, they presented their findings to Director Han Do-One and the other project leaders. The conference room was packed as Eun-ji explained their discovery. Think of it like finding missing puzzle pieces, she said, pointing to her diagrams. Each alien technology is highly advanced, but also highly specialized. Our simpler Earth systems can act as a bridge between them. We don't need to fully understand how each piece works. We just need to understand enough to make them work together. Min-ho stepped forward. We've already proven it's possible on a small scale. With proper funding and resources, we could potentially build an entire ship using this principle. The room burst into excited discussion. Director Han raised his hand for silence. How long would it take to construct a prototype vessel? 6 months, Min-ho answered confidently. We already have enough recovered technology to attempt it. The project received immediate approval. Min-ho and Eun-ji led a team of engineers in designing what would become humanity's first hybrid starship. They named it the Phoenix, hoping it would represent humanity's rise from the ashes of resource depletion. The construction process was unlike anything attempted before. They combined 5 different alien propulsion systems, each one originally incompatible with the others. Earth-designed control interfaces and power distribution systems served as the glue holding everything together. Many doubted the project would succeed. Some called it a waste of resources. Others warned that mixing alien technologies could be dangerous. But Min-ho and Eun-ji pressed on, confident in their understanding of the underlying patterns. 3 weeks before the scheduled completion date, Min-ho stood in the Phoenix's engine room, running final checks on the hybrid power core. The ship looked strange, with sections of different alien technology grafted together like a technological patchwork quilt. All systems are green, Yunji reported from the bridge, ready to begin power-up sequence. Minho took a deep breath and initiated the startup procedure. The various alien systems hummed to life, their energy flowing through Earth-designed conduits in perfect harmony. Power levels rose steadily, exceeding their projected maximum by 50%. "This is incredible," Yunji whispered over the comm. "The systems aren't just working together. They're amplifying each other." The Phoenix's first test flight proved even more successful than they had hoped. The hybrid drive system performed beyond their wildest expectations, achieving speeds that none of the original alien technologies could have reached alone. As they watched the test flight data roll in, Minho turned to Yunji with a smile. "We did it. We actually did it." Yunji nodded, her eyes fixed on the screens. "This is just the beginning. Think about what else we could create by combining other technologies." Their success opened up new possibilities for humanity's future in space. The Phoenix became the template for a new generation of hybrid ships, each one unique in its combination of recovered technologies. Earth's primitive engineering had proven to be the key to unlocking the full potential of advanced alien systems. Ambassador Choi Sung-min stood before the Grand Council of Spacefaring Species, his shoulders straight despite the barely hidden smirks of the alien representatives. The massive chamber, designed to accommodate beings of all sizes and atmospheric needs, seemed to grow colder with each passing moment. "The Earth fleet stands ready to assist in joint defense operations," Sung-min announced, his voice steady and clear. The response was immediate. A wave of clicking, whistling, and translated laughter filled the chamber. The towering representative from the Celestial Empire rose to their full height. "You propose to defend our territories with salvaged wreckage, with ships built from our discarded trash." Sung-min maintained his diplomatic composure, though his fingers tightened slightly on the podium. "Our hybrid vessels have proven highly capable in all test scenarios." "Test scenarios?" Another delegate scoffed. "Space combat requires pure, refined technology. Not this primitive patchwork your species calls engineering." Back on Earth, Fleet Commander Kang Haijin watched the transmitted conference with growing frustration. Her office wall displayed real-time status updates from the 37 hybrid vessels under her command. Each ship represented a unique combination of salvaged alien technology, bound together by human engineering. "Let them laugh," she muttered, studying the performance data from their latest training exercises. The numbers told a different story from the mockery they faced in the Council. The Pride of Earth, their newest hybrid vessel, had just completed another successful trial run. Its unique combination of 7 different propulsion systems allowed it to perform maneuvers that should have torn a normal ship apart. The alien observers had dismissed it as luck or faulty sensor readings. Haijin's communication panel lit up with an incoming call from Captain Lee Min-soo of the Pride of Earth. "Commander, you need to see this. We've discovered something interesting about the ship's capabilities." The data Min-soo sent showed that the Pride of Earth could switch between different technology bases almost instantly, adapting to any situation. When facing energy weapons, it could activate shields based on crystal technology. Against kinetic weapons, it could switch to field generators salvaged from ancient defense platforms. "Keep running tests," Haijin ordered. "I want to know everything these ships can do." Over the next few weeks, more reports came in from other hybrid vessels. The Starweaver could change its sensor profile at will, becoming virtually invisible to standard detection systems. The Thunderchild had developed the ability to redirect enemy fire using a combination of 3 different deflector technologies. During a joint training exercise, a purebred alien warship challenged the Thunderchild to a mock battle. The alien captain had expected an easy victory over the garbage collector. Instead, the hybrid vessel danced through space like nothing they had ever seen, evading every attack while landing perfect counterstrikes. "Impossible," the alien captain had transmitted. "No ship should be able to move like that." Hai Jin gathered her fleet commanders for a briefing. The room filled with officers who had learned to see potential in what others considered trash. They had become experts at combining technologies in ways their original creators never imagined. "The aliens think our approach is primitive," she told them. "They see us collecting their discarded technology and assume we're simply copying their work. They don't understand that we're creating something entirely new." Captain Park G1 of the Star Weaver raised his hand. "The Celestial Empire's ships are having trouble tracking us now. They can't seem to adapt to our changing sensor profiles." "Exactly," Hai Jin smiled. "While they perfect single technologies, we learn to use everything. Their ships are pure-bred thoroughbreds. Ours are adaptive, unpredictable, and getting stronger every day." The mock battles continued, and with each engagement, Earth's hybrid fleet demonstrated new capabilities. Ships that had been built from salvage were outmaneuvering the finest vessels in the galaxy. The garbage collectors were writing their own chapter in space warfare history. Ambassador Sungmin began receiving different kinds of messages from the council members. The mockery had given way to cautious interest. Some even requested private meetings to discuss Earth's engineering techniques. "They're starting to understand," he told Hai Jin during their weekly update. "Our primitive approach has given us an advantage they never expected." Hai Jin nodded, watching her fleet status displays. "We turned necessity into strength. Every piece of salvage, every discarded technology, became an opportunity to innovate." The hybrid fleet continued to grow and evolve. Each new ship combined alien technologies in different ways, making it impossible for other species to predict their capabilities. What had begun as a desperate measure to survive had become humanity's greatest achievement in space. The emergency alert sounded through every ship in known space. The stellar Concordat's outer colonies were under attack. 3 settlements had already gone dark, their communication networks silenced by an unknown enemy force. Captain Oh Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the Restoration, watching the incoming distress signals light up his tactical display. His hybrid carrier, built from 17 different kinds of alien technology, floated at the edge of Earth's defense zone. "Another colony just went silent," reported his communications officer. "The Concordat's fleet is getting torn apart. They're requesting immediate assistance from all nearby forces." Jinwoo studied the tactical map. The Restoration was the closest ship with enough firepower to make a difference. He had seen the reports. The Concordat's advanced warships, pride of their civilization, had failed to stop the attackers. "Signal the fleet command. We're moving to assist," Jinwoo ordered. "Launch all fighters. Configure for long-range deployment." The Restoration's fighter bay came alive with activity. Unlike traditional carriers, each of her fighters could change its configuration during combat. The pilots called them shifters, craft that could transform from fast interceptors to heavy bombers in seconds. "Captain, Fleet Command advises against engagement," the comm officer reported. "They say our recycled technology won't stand a chance if pure-bred warships failed." Jinwoo allowed himself a small smile. "Tell them we're experiencing communication difficulties." Tactical, plot a course to the nearest active colony. The Restoration's engines hummed to life, combining power from 5 different propulsion systems. What looked like a patchwork of salvaged parts on the outside housed the most adaptable warship humanity had ever built. Lieutenant Park Soo-jin, his fighter wing commander, appeared on the bridge screen. "All fighters ready for launch, Captain. The pilots are eager to prove what these junk heaps can do." "Remember your training," Jinwoo told them. "Use your ability to adapt. Don't let them predict your patterns." The Restoration dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the colony of New Haven. The scene that greeted them was chaos. Debris from destroyed ships filled the space around the planet. Through the wreckage, dark shapes moved with predatory grace, the unknown enemy vessels. "Multiple contacts," Tactical reported. "Their energy signatures don't match anything in our database." Jinwoo watched as one of the enemy ships tore through a Concordat cruiser like it was made of paper. Their weapons seemed to ignore standard shields completely. Launch fighters. All units free to engage. Restoration will provide cover fire and tactical support. Su Jin's fighters streamed from the carrier's launch base. The enemy vessels turned to engage, probably expecting an easy victory over the seemingly cobbled-together Earth fighters. They were wrong. As the first enemy shots flew, the Earth fighters split into smaller groups. When energy weapons came their way, they switched to crystal-based shields. When physical projectiles threatened, they activated phase-shifting technology salvaged from ancient defense platforms. "They can't get a lock on us," Su Jin reported with satisfaction. "Every time they adapt to one configuration, we switch to another." The Restoration moved through the battlefield like a dancer, its hybrid systems allowing it to avoid enemy fire while supporting its fighters. Jinwoo had trained his crew to use their ship's unique capabilities to full advantage. "Enemy vessels breaking off attack on the colony," Tactical announced. "They're concentrating on us now." "Good," Jinwoo said. "Show them what a real garbage collector can do." The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for years to come. The Restoration's fighters struck from multiple angles, constantly changing their attack patterns. When the enemy adapted to energy weapons, they switched to kinetic strikes. When shields went up, they phased through them. Jinwoo's own ship proved equally unpredictable. The enemy couldn't maintain a target lock because the Restoration kept shifting its sensor profile. What appeared to be a carrier one moment registered as a small scout ship the next. Colony reports all enemy ships in their sector have been driven off. Communications reported after 2 hours of intense combat. The Concordat fleet is regrouping. Jinwoo nodded, watching as his fighters returned to their base. Not a single shifter had been lost, though several showed battle damage. The enemy had retreated, leaving behind their own damaged vessels. "Send a message to Fleet Command," he ordered. "Tell them the recycled fleet just saved a Concordat colony, and tell them we're ready to do it again." The response from Earth was immediate. All hybrid vessels were to deploy to threatened colonies immediately. The fleet that had been mocked as garbage collectors was now the front line of defense against an unknown enemy. As the Restoration prepared to jump to the next battle zone, Jinwoo looked at the salvage technology readings on his command chair display. Each piece had been discarded as obsolete or useless by its original makers. Together, combined by human ingenuity, they had become something new, something powerful. "Ready for the next round?" he asked his bridge crew. The answering grins told him everything he needed to know. The garbage collectors were going hunting. Fleet Commander Kang watched from the Phoenix's bridge as another wave of enemy ships appeared on her tactical display. The battle for the Concordat colonies had turned into the largest space conflict in recent history. Her scrap fleet, once mocked by every advanced civilization, now formed the main line of defense. "Status report on the Restoration's battle group," she ordered, studying the holographic battle map floating before her command chair. "Captain O's fighters are engaging the enemy's northern flank," her tactical officer reported. "Their adaptive maneuvers are forcing the enemy to constantly rewrite their targeting protocols." Through the main viewport, Kang watched Jinwoo's fighters dance through space. Each craft shifted its configuration every few seconds, making them impossible to lock onto. When enemy vessels fired energy weapons, the fighters activated crystalline shields. When faced with physical projectiles, they switched to phase displacement technology. "The enemy is attempting to establish a pattern," the sensor officer announced. "They're recording our ship's energy signatures." Kang smiled slightly. "Let them try. Every ship in our fleet uses a different combination of salvage technology. They'll never find a pattern to exploit." She was right. The Phoenix alone combined 9 different alien propulsion systems with 15 types of defensive technology. The Restoration used completely different combinations. Each vessel in the human fleet was unique, assembled from whatever salvaged parts had been available during construction. "Enemy battle group attempting to flank our position," Tactical reported. "Their ships are maintaining formation." "Predictable," Kang muttered. The enemy, like most advanced civilizations, relied on strict tactical doctrines. Their ships moved in precise patterns, executed textbook maneuvers, and used standardized technology. "Signal the fleet," she ordered. "Initiate battle plan chaos." The human fleet broke apart, each ship choosing its own approach vector. Traditional military commanders would have called it madness. There was no formation, no coordinated attack pattern. Instead, each captain used their ship's unique capabilities to maximum advantage. The Phoenix led the charge, its hybrid drive systems allowing it to move in ways that defied normal space combat logic. One moment it appeared to be a massive capital ship. The next, its energy signature matched a small courier vessel. "Enemy targeting systems are showing signs of overload," the sensor officer reported with satisfaction. "They can't maintain locks on our vessels." Kang watched as Jin Wu's fighters struck from multiple angles. The Restoration provided cover fire, its weapons constantly cycling through different energy frequencies. When the enemy adapted to one type of attack, the human ships simply switched to another. "The Celestial Empire's flagship is requesting permission to join our attack," communications reported. "Their admiral says their traditional tactics are proving ineffective." "Grant permission," Kang replied, "but tell them to stay clear of our maneuvering space. We can't predict our own ship's movements." The battle continued for hours. Enemy vessels, designed to fight opponents using similar technology, found themselves unable to cope with the humans' constantly changing tactics. Their targeting computers, programmed to recognize specific energy signatures, were worse than useless against ships that could change their signatures at will. "Captain O reports his fighters have broken through the enemy's defensive line," Tactical announced. "The Restoration's latest scan shows their command ships are losing power." Kang nodded. The enemy had finally discovered the fatal flaw in their approach to warfare. They had perfected individual technologies, creating powerful but inflexible weapons. The human fleet, built from salvage and scrap, could adapt to any situation. "Enemy vessels beginning mass retreat," sensors reported. "Their formations are breaking up." The victory was complete. The scrap fleet had succeeded where the galaxy's most advanced warships had failed. As Kang looked at the battle damage reports, she noticed something interesting. Human casualties were minimal. The ability to constantly shift between different defensive systems had protected their ships better than any single advanced shield could have. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "The hybrid fleet concept is proven. Request permission to begin upgrading all remaining conventional vessels." The response from Earth Command came quickly. Not only was permission granted, but the Stellar Concordat and 3 other major powers had already requested technical assistance in developing their own hybrid ships. Kang looked out at her fleet, each ship a unique combination of salvage technology bound together by human ingenuity. What had started as a desperate measure to survive had become the future of space warfare. "Have Captain O bring the Restoration alongside," she ordered. "I want to personally congratulate his crew. They proved today that being predictable is more primitive than being adaptable." The scrap fleet formed up around the Phoenix, their mismatched hulls gleaming in the starlight. They no longer looked like garbage collectors to anyone. They looked like what they had become, the most advanced and capable fighting force in known space. Senior Engineer Yoon Newell stepped into the grand conference hall of the Galactic Technical Exchange, her simple Earth uniform standing out among the ornate robes and environmental suits of the alien delegates. Just months ago, this same hall had been filled with whispers and sneers about Earth's primitive engineering. Now, every eye and sensor turned to follow her movement. "Engineer Yoon, please explain again how your integration systems function," a tall delegate from the Crystal Sphere asked, hurrying to match her pace. 3 other technical representatives quickly joined them. Newell paused near a display showing the schematics of the Restoration's hybrid drive system. "The key is not trying to perfect any single technology. We focus on making different systems work together." The gathered delegates leaned closer, recording devices active. Where they had once dismissed Earth's engineers as simple scavengers, they now hung on every word. But surely there must be more, another delegate insisted. Our finest minds cannot replicate your results. We have tried combining technologies as you do, but they remain unstable. Hanul smiled, remembering her early days in the salvage program. You're still thinking like advanced civilizations. You try to understand everything before using it. We learn to work with technologies we only partially understand. In the main exhibition hall, Ambassador Choi stood surrounded by diplomatic representatives. The same officials who had laughed at Earth's garbage collector fleet now competed for his attention. The Stellar Concordat would be honored to establish a permanent technical exchange, one ambassador offered. We are prepared to share our most advanced military technology. The Crystal Sphere offers exclusive mining rights in 3 star systems, another added quickly, in exchange for consulting on hybrid ship design. Choi maintained his diplomatic composure, though he couldn't help feeling satisfied. Earth values all our potential partners equally. We will establish fair exchange programs with any civilization willing to work with us. Back in the technical section, Hanul led her growing group of followers to a practical demonstration. A small hybrid power core sat on a testing platform, combining elements from 6 different alien power systems. Watch what happens when we introduce a new technology, she explained, carefully adding a crystal power node to the mix. The core's energy output jumped by 40%, drawing gasps from the observers. Impossible, one delegate muttered. Those systems should destroy each other. The energy patterns are completely incompatible. Hanul adjusted some controls on her Earth-made interface. Incompatible only means you haven't found the right way to connect them. We spent years learning how to bridge these gaps with our own technology. The demonstration continued, with Hanul showing how the hybrid core could adapt to different power needs instantly. The alien engineers took furious notes, their previous disdain for Earth technology completely forgotten. Your species has achieved something remarkable, the Crystal Sphere delegate admitted. We thought you were simply copying our old technology. Instead, you have created something entirely new. In another part of the complex, military observers watched recordings of the recent battles. They studied how Earth's ships changed their configurations mid-fight, adapting to any threat. Notice how no 2 ships used the same combinations, the instructor explained. Each vessel is unique, making it impossible to develop standard countermeasures. Ambassador Choi received hourly updates about new partnership requests. The galactic community had realized that Earth's approach to technology represented the future. Their primitive engineering had evolved into something beyond what any single civilization had achieved. We should have seen this coming, one alien diplomat commented during a private meeting. While we all focused on perfecting our own technologies, humans learned to use everything. They turned our limitations into their strength. Hanul finished her demonstrations and retreated to a quiet corner. She looked at her datapad, reviewing the latest technical exchange proposals. Earth would no longer need to salvage discarded technology. Civilizations were now offering their latest innovations freely. Quite a change from 6 months ago, Ambassador Choi said, joining her. Remember when they called us garbage collectors? Hanul nodded, thinking about how far they had come. They thought we were primitive because we worked with scraps. They never understood that working with scraps taught us to be innovative. The conference continued for several more days. Each session brought new requests for cooperation, new offers of alliance. Earth's hybrid technology had become the most sought-after innovation in known space. As Hanul prepared to return home, she took one last look at the gathered delegates. They had finally learned what Earth had known all along. True advancement comes not from perfecting single technologies, but from learning to use everything available in new and unexpected ways. Director Han Du-won stood at the observation deck of Earth's newest shipyard, watching the construction of vessels that would have seemed impossible just 10 years ago. The massive facility stretched for kilometers, its docks filled with ships in various stages of completion. Each vessel combined technologies from dozens of civilizations, bound together by human innovation. Below him, A group of young engineers guided robotic assemblers as they integrated a crystal matrix power core with quantum field generators. The supposedly incompatible systems worked in perfect harmony, thanks to Earth-designed interface technology. The final inspection report on the Dawn Seeker is ready, Director, his assistant said, approaching with a datapad. Do-Won reviewed the specifications with pride. The Dawn Seeker would be the first of a new class of exploration vessels, combining 30 different alien technologies in ways their original creators never imagined. Its hybrid systems would allow it to adapt to any situation it encountered in deep space. Hard to believe we started with salvaged garbage, he mused, remembering the early days of the salvage initiative. Now every advanced civilization sends us their latest innovations. The United Earth Space Authority had become the galaxy's leading authority on starship design. Their shipyards never built the same vessel twice. Each ship was unique, its systems chosen and combined based on its intended mission. The new cadets are arriving for the graduation ceremony, his assistant reminded him. Do-Won nodded, taking one last look at the bustling shipyard. In an hour, he would deliver his final address to the Academy of Space Engineering before his retirement. The Academy's great hall filled with graduates from 24 species. Earth had become the preferred training ground for engineers throughout known space. They came to learn not just about technology, but about the human approach to innovation. Do-Won studied the faces before him, human and alien alike, all eager to carry on the legacy that had begun with a desperate salvage operation. They represented the future his team had helped create. 10 years ago, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the hall. Humanity faced a choice. We could either accept our limitations or find new ways to overcome them. We chose to see value where others saw only waste. The audience listened intently as he described the evolution of Earth's hybrid technology. From the first recovered alien artifact to the latest exploration vessels, each step had been driven by necessity and guided by innovation. We never tried to be the most advanced, he continued. We simply tried to make everything work together. In doing so, we became something unique in the galaxy, innovators who build bridges between technologies, just as we now build bridges between civilizations. A holographic display activated behind him, showing the growth of Earth's influence over the past decade. What had begun as a small fleet of salvaged vessels had grown into a vast network of shipyards, research facilities, and training academies. Your generation faces new challenges, Do-Won told the graduates. You have access to the latest technology from every known civilization. But remember our core philosophy. True innovation isn't about having the most advanced systems. It's about finding new ways to use what exists. After the ceremony, Do-Won walked through the Academy's museum. Display cases held pieces of the original scrap fleet, including fragments from the Morning Star where it all began. Each artifact told part of humanity's journey from desperate salvagers to respected innovators. Quite a legacy you've built, a voice said. Do-Won turned to find Ambassador Choi, his old friend from the early days. Who would have thought our garbage collectors would change the galaxy? Do-Won smiled, remembering the mockery they had once faced. We learned something important from those days. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries come from seeing value in things others throw away. Together, they watched as the new graduates explored the museum, their excitement evident as they discussed future projects. The next generation would take hybrid technology even further, finding new combinations and possibilities no one had imagined. As the sun set over the shipyards, Do-Won prepared to hand over his duties to his successor. The scrap fleet had given humanity more than just advanced technology. It had taught them to see possibilities where others saw limitations. The once mocked garbage collectors had become the masters of adaptation, proving that humanity's greatest strength lay not in creating new technology, but in finding new ways to use what already existed. Their legacy would continue to shake the galaxy for generations to come.